Fire epic showdown. Watch Eala and Kichenok take on Russian rivals in Guangzhou Open Doubles quarterfinals. The lights of Guangzhou shimmered like molten gold against the humid evening air. The crowd hummed with nervous energy, waves of anticipation rippling through the stands. It wasn't just another match. It was a match everyone had been waiting for. The quarterfinals of the Guangzhou Open Doubles. And at the heart of the storm stood two women from very different worlds. Alexandra Alex of the Philippines and Nadia Kichenok, Ukraine. Rated clash with their fierce Russian rivals in what would soon become a battle written in sweat, willpower, and fire. Tonight wasn't merely about tennis. It was about heart meeting pressure, dreams meeting destiny, and two women daring to defy the odds. Setting the stage, East meets West. Power meets passion. The Russian duo, fierce, confident, and intimidating, had arrived in an aura of dominance. Known for their heavy serves and unrelenting baseline attacks, they were ranked among the tournament's top seeds. Their reputation preceded them. Kurmatova and Popova, a partnership forged in aggression and precision across the net. The pairing of Eala and Kichenok seemed almost poetic. One was a 19-year-old prodigy, the pride of Southeast Asia, whose game was powered by raw emotion and explosive energy. The other, a 32-year-old doubles maestro, seasoned by years of tourists, hardships, and victories across continents. Together, they had already surprised many by storming through the early rounds with breathtaking teamwork. But now, they were stepping into a lion's den. The Russians had vowed to crush anyone in their path to the title. For Eala and Kichenok, this was more than a match. It was a test of chemistry, courage, and character. The first set stormed before the calm. From the first serve, it was clear that this wasn't going to be a gentle rally of respect. It was war disguised the sport. Popova opened with a thunderous serve. The ball slicing through the air like a bullet. Kichenok barely managed to return, setting up Kurmatova for a crushing volley. The Russians roared. The crowd gasped, but Eala, ever the fighter, responded in kind. Her next return, a daring backhand, threaded the needle between the two Russians for an impossible winner. The stadium exploded in applause. "Let's go," she shouted, her voice echoing through the court. The first few games were neck and neck. Every rally was a battle of reflexes, power, and wit. Kichenok's hands at the net were masterful, tapping, blocking, deflecting, while Eala's ground strokes boomed with youthful ferocity at 4-2. The tension reached a fever pitch. Kurmatova served. Eala read it early. She anticipated the direction lunge and fired a backhand cross-court that left the Russians frozen. Breakpoint. Moments later, a serve for the set. A blistering ace down the T-line sealed it. 6-4 to Eala and Kichenok. The crowd erupted. Filipino flags wave in the stands. Ukrainian fans clap proudly. And somewhere in the chaos, you feel it. The spark of history being written. Second set. When the Lions bite back. But the Russians were not world-class contender for nothing. They regrouped, recalibrated, and returned to the court with a vengeance. Their strategy became brutal and effective. Target Eala, exploit her youth, her inexperience under immense pressure. It worked. Unforced errors began to creep into Eala's game. A few missed returns. A couple of mistimed volumes. Her confidence seemed to waver for the first time in the tournament. The Russians pounced, their eyes gleaming like predators sensing blood. Kichenok, sensing her partner's turmoil, walked up to Eala during a changeover and whispered something simple yet powerful. "We play for love, not fear. Let's fight with joy." Those words seemed to awaken something deep within Eala. She straightened her shoulders, tightened her grip, and took a deep breath. From that moment, the tide began to shift. Again. Eala rediscovered her rhythm. Her footwork grew sharper, her returns deeper. She was no longer reacting. She was dictating. Still, the Russians managed to close the set 7-5. The scoreboard now read, 1-set-all. The tension palpable, the air electric, the moment unforgettable, final set hard. Overpower. It was do or die time. 1 set to decide who would advance to the semifinals. The first few games were grueling. Long rallies, punishing exchanges, and moments of sheer brilliance from both sides. Kimatova's forehands boomed like cannon fire while Kichenok counter with lightning-quick volleys that graze a net tape. But the true spectacle came from Eala. Somewhere deep within her, the fire ignited. She began playing not just with skill, but with soul. Her backhand screamed across the court. Her returns found impossible angles, and her reactions were instinctive, almost supernatural. At 3:2, Eala broke the Russian serve with a dazzling sequence. A lob, a drop shot. Then a forehand blast that painted the line. The crowd leaped to its feet. 4-2. Advantage Eala and Kichenok. But as champions often do, the Russians refused to fade quietly. They fought back to level of 44. Every point an emotional roller coaster. Then came the turning point, a 20-shot rally that would become the highlight of the entire tournament. Eala slid across the baseline, returning every thunderous shot the Russians threw at her. Kirimatova attacked the net. But Eala, sprinting forward, scooped up a desperate forehand that floated just over net and dropped in. Winner. The stadium went wild. Even the commentators were speechless. Kitchen raised her racket, eyes locked on Eala, smiling. "That's how we fight," she moaned. Moments later, they broke serve again. 5-4. Eala to serve for the match. The final game, writing history. The crowd rose as Eala stepped up the baseline. Her hands trembled slightly, but her eyes were steady. Their partnership became a metaphor, a bridge between generations, between nations, between dreams and destiny. Looking ahead, the semifinal waits. As they left the court, hands placed high, one could almost feel the promise of what's next. The semifinals loomed, a clash with another top-seeded pair, but neither seemed afraid. "We're just getting started," Eala said with a grin as she signed autographs for fans. Win or lose, we'll fight with everything we have. And with that, the two walked off into the night. Champions in spirit. Warriors in motion, symbols of belief. The legacy of a night like no other. That quarterfinal wasn't just an athletic victory. It was a celebration of unity, grit, and joy. It reminded the world that tennis is more than just a game of numbers and rankings. It's a stage for human courage. A place where youth and experience collide and creates something timeless. Eala and Kichenok showed that true power doesn't come from muscle. It comes from meaning. Every shot they played was a declaration that small nations can dream big. That teamwork can defy talent. That passion can outshine pedigree. And as the cameras faded and the night grew quiet, the echoes of that final cheer still lingered in the Guangzhou air, a sound not just of victory, but of hope reborn. Because long after the trophies are lifted and the rankings reshuffled, one truth will remain. Alex, Eala, and Nadia Kichenok didn't just win a match. They created a moment the world will never forget.